Hello and welcome to a new season of the Widener World of Sports podcast. This is season 3, episode number 1. My name is Greg Spica, the Director of Athletic Communications here at Widener University. Tonight we're joined by members of the Widener football team, women's volleyball, and women's cross country and track and field.
Hi, I'm Shannon. I'm a junior on the women's cross country track and field team.
Hi, I'm Dailyn. I'm a sophomore and I'm on women's volleyball.
I'm Brendan. I'm a sophomore and I'm on the football team.
On this episode, we'll cover injury in athletics and then supporting your team while hurt. Shannon, let's flash it back to 2022, where Widener women's cross country made it to the NCAA championships. You told me that you were hurt that year. Can you just talk about that experience of just not being able to compete and then having to travel to support the team on one of the biggest stages in the country?
Yeah, so flying to Michigan was a really fun experience. The Airbnb and all of that was one of my favorite memories from my first year at Widener. But it was also really, really hard because I was doing all the traveling and I was going to all the meets and I was supporting when I wanted to be competing. So it's very exciting for my team to do really, really well, and I'm really proud of all of them. But it was also really hard because I felt like I couldn't be upset about it because I wanted them to do well, but I was also injured at the same time. So it was kind of just a balance between I can't sit here and self-deprecate, but there is a space to feel upset that I'm not competing. But it was a hard thing to figure out, and I think I understand it more now that I'm not in that situation. But during that time, it was definitely difficult, but it was also really, really cool to see all my teammates compete.
Yeah, I definitely think it's hard to be in that situation of having an injury and seeing what you want to be out there doing. And so I think with that, supporting your teammates comes from a really internal struggle, and you have to really have love for the sport and have love for wanting your team to succeed and do well.
Yeah, it's super important because obviously as much as you want to be out there playing, it's at the same time it's good to just be around your teammates, even if you're not out there, because if you're hurt and you're just sitting at home alone with your thoughts, it can really take even more of a toll on you mentally. So it's just always the best thing to just be around your teammates as much as you can and just build that bond with them.
Yeah, honestly, I think that was the hardest part when I was injured was, I was out for so long because I had surgery that, my whole daily schedule was messed up. I honestly didn't even mind going to meets as much as I, got annoyed at, not going to practice or, going to practice to just stand with my coach. That was so frustrating because it felt like I was wasting my time. And, I know I wasn't because I love my sport and I'm so glad that I stuck with it. But, in the moment, especially when I didn't know what was wrong, I just knew that my body hurt, and there was no seemingly a way out. That was the biggest struggle probably. I think injuries are the hardest when you don't know what's going on because you feel like there's no, answer.
Yeah, I feel like being in a state of confusion. My first year, I had something wrong with my shoulder, and being a volleyball player, that's, one of the biggest aspects of it. And so it just hurt all the time, and no amount of therapy, heating, cooling, working with the trainers helped. And it's just so frustrating because at some point you just kind of accept your pain, and I don't want to say it's the end of the world, but it's just something you learn to deal with and work through.
Yeah, it's definitely something you got to get accustomed to because I started playing football since I got into high school, and I haven't really been able to finish or have a full season. And it's just, it's tough. And it takes a mental toll on you, and you just got to find different things to do. And when your doctors or your trainers tell you to do something, you got to do it because they want you to get back out there and get better just as much as you do. So, it's just it's hard sometimes to keep motivating yourself and keep yourself into it, and yeah.
What would you guys say the hardest part of being injured is? What did you struggle with the most?
So last season I had a concussion. So for me, it was the mental wellness to get up and like get out of bed and like go to classes and stuff when my head was hurting all the time. But I also think a hard part for me is like this is my dream. Like ever since I started playing volleyball, I've always dreamed of being a collegiate athlete, and I guess seeing my dream not manifest in the way that I thought it would hurt a lot. Like I mean, just to sit there and like be like, wow, like I'm missing out on most of my season because I can't think straight. You know, like that's so stupid, but it's yeah.
What made it worth it?
Probably just being in the team environment. I think, like you spoke on, like supporting your teammates while you want to be out there is hard, but you have to also remember that they're supporting you.
For me, I would say it's the length of time that some stuff can take you out for. Because my senior year of high school, I broke my left foot. And then coming into my first year of college, I broke my right foot. And then eventually one thing led to another. I had to get major surgery on both of them, which took me out for about a full year. So it's just the amount of time it takes you out for. It's just, for me, it kind of made me feel like I lost my identity because you're out for so long, and it's just like, and you're not quite sure if you're going to be able to recover from it. But the thing that's worth it to me is just I love playing football. It's one of the few things I'm actually very passionate about, so it just motivates me more to keep at it and better myself and get stronger and get back out there and play. Because it's kept me out my last 2 years, and it's got me fired up even more about this coming season because I haven't played in a few years. So that's what it is for me. Just the amount of time stuff can take you out for, and you just got to be mentally tough.
Yeah. How do you break both feet?
The first one was in practice. It was a really unnecessary drill our coach had us doing. And two of our biggest offensive linemen fell on my foot when it was like straight up like this, and it pretty much just snapped in half. And then my first year here was basically the same thing. Just kind of got bent back awkwardly and broke it. So just freak accidents, nothing I can do about it, but that's life. That's football especially. It's always going to come with it.
Yeah, thankfully I'm not a contact sport.
Yeah. I was going to say, but you've had some pretty crazy injuries.
Yeah. I had a hip surgery and core surgery freshman year because I tore my hip sockets. So we had to shave down my bone so that it fit right in my hip socket and repair it, and then also had core surgery all at the same time. That was honestly rough for a lot of reasons. I think school was one of the hardest parts, because I was so mentally out of it, going to class, not knowing what was wrong. My mind was constantly preoccupied with other things. Once I had the surgery, don't get me wrong, I was glad I knew it was wrong. I was glad we were fixing it. But once I had the surgery, I was on crutches and I couldn't walk. And it was really hard for me to get to classes and get around. So that was honestly one of the hardest things. My grades were the lowest my first semester here because I was injured and I couldn't feasibly get around. And I think a lot of people think that injuries only play into your direct sport, but it definitely plays into so much more, you were saying, mentally, but it also plays in academically. And I think as a student athlete, our, you were saying, our identities are part of us. Part of the sport we play is who we are. And when we can't do that, it's we're missing a part of us. And I think that that's something that can be hard for people who aren't athletes to understand. And a lot of our teachers were not athletes.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a hard label to carry in a sense, being a student athlete, because you kind of have to be a role model, and you have to be on your best behavior at all times because eyes are on you. I guess I don't want to say you don't have the freedom as everybody else, but you're very strict on what you can wear, what you can do, what people are recording you, or if you do something you have to worry about getting out and or getting it back to your coach. I know letting your coach hear things is one of the worst experiences ever.
Yeah, and to touch on that, just talking to people, making sure you're socializing yourself as much as you can, Because, like I said earlier, if you're just sitting around staring at the ceiling doing nothing, it's just only going to make it worse. So you just got to do what you can to get yourself out there, socialize with people, talk to people if you need it, whether it's your family, your coaches, friends, whatever. Just
I think, at least for me, coaches were a huge resource for me. I mean, track has a lot of coaches, but my head coach and my event coach were like a really, really, really big help when I was injured, especially like my first year at Widener, because I was really, really struggling. I had honestly toyed around with quitting because I was like, I don't know what's wrong. I can't run. I'm in a pool and I'm a track athlete. I was really struggling, and then my coach, who I love him to death, but he's typically really, really mean. He came up to me and he like sat down next to me after I had been like practically crying the whole practice and was like, it's okay, like I get it, injuries are hard, it's just your first year. And as much as like injuries take us out for a long time, I think sometimes it's hard to look at it from the perspective of like 1 year seems like a really long time for an athlete, but 1 year in the span of your life is like not nearly as long. And yeah, like being an athlete is a huge part of us, but ultimately like we got to make sure that we're healthy. And I think that's something that's really hard, is like knowing the line of when to push and not like when not to.
Yeah, when is enough? I think people don't talk about the idea of quitting a lot, like as we should. I think it should be like a more open conversation, because I know there's a girl on my team who's gotten like injuries, bad injuries, both her first year and her sophomore year. And it's like, when do you realize that like you do have to live in this body for the rest of your life? Like, how many concussions does it take? How many like leg injuries, whatever? Because I mean, walking is a normal part of our daily routines. And like, yeah.
Yeah, the thought, it definitely crept into my mind too about whether I wanted to keep going or not. But like even back in high school, I broke my ribs and I lacerated my spleen, and that was another big thing that kept me out for a while. But it's just, once you really think about it, and you kind of think about, well, what else am I going to do? And you just got to persevere and keep going through it.
How do you lacerate a spleen? So curious.
I wish I could tell you.
What position do you play?
Receiver.
Oh, that makes sense.
Oh,
Yeah.
That probably makes a little more sense.
And yeah, and like with my feet and stuff, there was a big question mark on if I would be able to execute at a high level, because I now have surgically repaired feet and I have screws in my feet and all this. But that's when I asked myself, like, I don't know what else I would do. So it just motivates me to come back better.
Yeah, I definitely feel that, because I felt like I had nothing to do ever. Like, obviously being injured sucks, but like I didn't know what to do with the time on my hands. Like, if I ever quit, I don't think I would know what to do with myself. Like, I would have to join a club or something. Like, I couldn't like be done with classes and just have the entire day. I feel like I have to be like constantly doing something, and like my sport is a part of that. Like, I like coming to practice and having something to work towards, and like that is probably the most rewarding part. Like, after being injured, when you get to come back and be like really good at your sport, like that's exciting. Like, seeing all the progress you've made. Like, my first year I was injured. My second year I didn't have a great season because of just everything and a lot of different factors. But this past year, my junior year, I got to be second team all conference, and that was like I was really excited, and I had never thought that I would have been able to be all conference in general. So it was really exciting to see, and I think that makes all of the like injury stuff that I had to deal with like worth it, because I'm seeing that like even though I went through all that, I can still make progress. I can still be good at what I do, and so I think like that makes it really worth it. Like, being able to still compete makes it worth it.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think, well, track these past couple of years have had great seasons. And so with that, I think it's great to see you come back and, like, support your team and, like, contribute to those wins and stuff.
Yeah, that was a big thing. is like we get t-shirts when we win max. And I felt like I was going up and getting a t-shirt for doing absolutely nothing. Like, I was so excited, but it also felt like I did absolutely nothing and I didn't deserve it. So I think that's also something that's hard with injuries because, I mean, track is something, I feel like every sport is something that gets injured a lot. But with us, we get a lot of overuse injuries that, like, it's not something quick that, like, we can just recover in a few weeks. It almost always is something longer.
Lingers.
And so there's like plenty of us that like can't compete, and it's hard. But then like that first season when I did compete and I did score points for us, it like made it all worth it. Even if it was like just a couple points, it was really exciting and it made me want to score more points. So like being able to like drive myself through, like, okay, like there were a rough couple seasons there, but like I was a part of the team. I was supporting the team. I like went to all the races. Like I still belong here was like really hard to remind myself in the moment, but like after the fact, it was really exciting. And I feel like ultimately like that's what makes it all worth it, is like the after.
Yeah, definitely defining your role as a teammate when you're injured is important because you're still traveling. Like I still travel to the majority of our games. And so I think with that, you do have to remind yourself and you do have to remember that your teammates need support, and that's what it's about, being on a team, is leaning into your other people's strengths and weaknesses. And just because you weren't like out there scoring points doesn't mean you weren't contributing to those points, you know? So have you guys like thought about coaching or like how you're gonna deal with athletics after you're graduated?
I haven't really thought about coaching. I don't know that that's necessarily something I would want to do. But I have thought a little bit about what I'm going to do after. Luckily for me, running I can kind of just do anywhere without a team. I will definitely like miss all of that, but we use this thing called Log-A-Run where it's this really old like spreadsheet thing from like I think the 80s. It shuts down on us all the time. But it's like teams all across like the US use it, but so we all get to like log our runs, our mileage, the time. We get to write like a note and we can comment on each other's logs. And that's something I want to make sure that I like stay on, because my coach's rule is if you don't log for over a month, once you graduate, you get kicked off the log. Oh, wow. Which means I have to run at least once a month to be on the log. So I think I'm going to use that to kind of just like keep myself running, because I want to stay like athletic after college. I don't just want to like quit cold turkey, but I definitely won't necessarily have the time the way I do, or like the resources. And I definitely won't have athletic trainers, so that will be different. But I'm kind of just planning on like still running after. I want to run a marathon. I've run a half marathon, but yeah.
I haven't really put a crazy amount of thought into it, but I do want to stay around and involved in football as long as I possibly can. The ultimate dream for me is to play professionally, but if that doesn't work out, then I would consider coaching or even training or just being a part of a team somehow, because I find a lot of joy in that, just being a part of a team, no matter what way it is. So that's what I would do. I really don't see myself doing anything else besides just being involved in football in whatever way it is. As a senior in high school, I kind of took on a large leadership role, and that's when I kind of thought like maybe coaching could work out for me, because before that, I'm not really a vocal person, but after that, it kind of opens that door a little bit. So if playing doesn't work out, then coaching could be the route that I go in.
I've considered coaching, but I think it's hard to like talk to people who don't want to be talked to. Like, of course, like I've been to camps and stuff, and your goal is to ultimately learn, but there are also kids there who don't want to learn, who think they're the greatest at their sport. And so I think coaching is neither here nor there for me personally, but I think the way I'm going to stay, like, I guess, like, involved is, like, joining leagues. But I think I'm going to really, like, start to, like, lift outside of my sport, because I think that is what keeps, like, me most in shape. because volleyball, there is a lot of standing around, but it's like intervals. Like you have 30 seconds where you have really good play, or you have 30 seconds like where balls are just dropping constantly and you're just standing there. So
Yeah, I feel like I just want to also stay connected, like with my old teammates. I think that's big. I think going from high school to college, that was like hard to stay connected because everybody was going so far from each other, and nobody was used to it. But I think like everybody's kind of used to like that in college, so like it's easier to stay connected to people. Like I live 3.5, 4 hours away, but I can still stay connected like here when it's like over the summer, and all my friends that live like around here even further. So I think I just want to make an effort to like keep in contact with those people and like maybe meet up at the same races. Like one of my teammates and I joke about like running a marathon together all the time and like wanting to qualify for like the bigger ones together. But like even just small things like that, like just staying attached to a lot of the people that you made connections with like through athletics here at Widener.
yeah, in high school, I know like people, I have played with people since like 4th or 5th grade. And like growing up like 4th through 12th, that's like 8 years. And then all of a sudden not seeing that person or not being on a team with that person, it's hard. Yeah, I would definitely agree with staying connected with my teammates. I think teams like pressure you in the best way possible. And having someone who's been under that mental pressure and like toughness, that's a really good person to stay in contact with because you can share like, hey, I'm really struggling like with missing this aspect of the sport, or like I'm really struggling to stay motivated in my sport, or not in the sport, but like to continue to be athletic and stuff. So I think that's nice to have a person who you can like share your struggles with.
As we wrap up today's episode of Injury in Athletics and supporting your team, thank you, Brendan, Dailyn, and Shannon for joining us. We appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to do so. As always, have a great rest of your week. We'll catch you next time on the Widener World of Sports podcast. Go Pride.